go to Berlin now and speak with Leni Kinzli. She's the head of communications at the World Food Program in Sudan. Leni, the two warring sides, as I've said there, have reached a commitment to allow the flow of humanitarian aid, but not a ceasefire. Does that instill much confidence in you that the sides will uphold this plan to allow humanitarian assistance to protect civilians?
So WFP is very hopeful. This agreement, however, is only the first step. We require this agreement for humanitarian access, for the safe delivery of humanitarian aid. But now we appeal to both parties to translate this agreement into concrete action on the ground. So to open up these humanitarian corridors so WFP can get help to people who need it the most.
So what kind of arrangements are being made to deliver humanitarian aid to people?
So right now we are ramping up our assistance, specifically in 4 states in the east of Sudan, which are relatively safe. Right now we have food trucks that are moving to Jazeera State, where a lot of newly displaced people from Khartoum are arriving, and we'll hopefully start emergency food distributions in the coming days. In the coming weeks, we're hoping to reach over 380,000 vulnerable people with emergency food assistance. We're also providing treatment for malnutrition in Port Sudan, and we're looking to scale up over the coming months to reach 5 million vulnerable people. But this is very much contingent upon this agreement holding and an enabling environment for the delivery of humanitarian aid.
As you well know, there were already millions of people in Sudan in need of humanitarian aid even before this conflict. So how has this worsened the situation since this fighting broke out in the last month?
So this fighting has made what was already a very dire situation even worse. We are very concerned that up to 2.5 million more people could face hunger in the coming months, for a total of 19 million people in acute food insecurity over the coming months, which is 40% of the population. And also, the conflict is disrupting supply chains, making food prices go higher and making it harder for the everyday Sudanese to afford a basic meal. So the fighting needs to stop. There needs to be an agreement. And we also need to be able to safely deliver humanitarian assistance.
The United Nations says some 200,000 people have fled Sudan in the month of fighting. What do you know about what the situation is like for these refugees?
So we've seen tens of thousands of people cross into the borders of Chad, Egypt, and South Sudan, where it is also very difficult to provide aid. For example, in Chad, WFP is on the ground on the borders, providing emergency food assistance. But Chad also, our country office in Chad also faces a funding deficit of over $100 million. And we're seeing the rainy season start in Chad, which makes it really, really hard to reach those people on the borders. So we need additional funding. We need additional support so that we can move food supplies to those difficult to reach areas before the rainy season hits.
All right, we'll leave it there. Leni Kinzli joining us from Berlin. Thank you.